embattled. Embattled, that's a good word. Embattled Dolton Mayor, the super mayor, Tiff, Tahoe Tiff without the Tahoe, Tiffany Henyard clashes with board over spending. I don't see y'all doing nothing. I don't have a very good Southern accent. Yeah, I don't really talk like a female, but I don't see y'all doing nothing. Okay, all right. Why is the Thornton Township Board doing nothing? Let's get into it. Let's talk about it. Here we go.
Good evening. There were many tense moments in tonight's meeting. At times, Supervisor Tiffany Henyard took on her fellow trustees when it came to money and expenses, even accusing some of them of spreading lies about her.
Please tell me how you're out of order. You're out of order. How do they operate, trustees? How do they?
There were countless interactions just like this, elevated voices and heated debates about spending and the lack of a new budget. Several of the trustees questioned much of the township's spending, while Henyard says she's cleaned its finances up.
Y'all thought that I was young, dumb, didn't know nothing, was going to let y'all come and manipulate me. I didn't do any of that. So because I didn't do any of that, you guys started this whole smear campaign.
At one point in this 3-hour meeting, Supervisor Henyard demanded Finance Director Robert Hunt read through more than 100 line items that many trustees wanted to get rid of. For example, thousands of dollars to Amazon,
$169.99.
thousands of dollars of cakes for community events,
Thousands of dollars of cakes. I was watching Hannibal is Hungry, another YouTube channel that has extensively covered the supermayor. Yeah, he led off the most recent video with what I've learned is that Tiffany Henyard loves cake. Loves cake. I mean, who doesn't like cake? But thousands of dollars when you've spent literally. So, no, we'll just keep going.
To Calumet Bakery.
and tens of thousands of dollars that were allegedly allocated for the one-day event, the Taste of Thornton Township.
We just had a couple of events here in the past whatever month or so.
That was the $85,000, and we'll talk about that in a second. $85,000 event 2 Saturdays ago, I think it was, something like that.
It's not going to unnecessary.
As for upcoming events, the trustees voted to stop a few, including House Fest and Gospel Fest. Henyard accused the trustees of acting out of spite.
And right now, you guys are operating with hatred in your hearts. You operating out of feelings. You're not
Look at her attorney. He is wishing he would be anywhere else. I would like to be anywhere else other than sitting next to this woman, trying to make sure that she stays out of prison. But that's not going to work out.
operating with things that's going on, and I don't think that's fair to us. And I don't understand why it's a problem when we got a surplus in Thornton Township thanks to Supervisor Tiffany Henyard once again.
Lexi Suter, NBC 5 News.
Let's give WGN a little look-see here.
As usual. Thornton Township Supervisor Tiffany Henyard is finding a way to spend money that trustees say they intentionally did not approve, one describing it to me tonight as a shell game.
Is there a motion to approve the Gospel Fest?
Motion to fail.
All right. Is there a motion to approve the House Fest?
Event after event denied for Thornton Township Supervisor Tiffany Henyard under an ordinance designed to rein in spending.
The residents love the events that we do here at Thornton Township. And prior to me, y'all have always had events. So I don't understand why it's a problem now that Tiffany Henyard is the supervisor.
The trustees say they won't greenlight the events because there's no approved budget yet.
How please the money and waste.
The most recent cost causing concern, Henyard's Taste of Thornton Township last month. WGN Investigates obtained records that show singer Kiki Wyatt was paid $30,000 to sing for 30 minutes. Rapper Jay Holiday made $20,000 for a half-hour set. When you factor in staff, equipment, and other expenses, the total cost is at least $85,000, which is lower than WGN Investigates initially reported.
Initially reported $135,000. Okay. It's an incredible amount of money, and this whole concept is there's no budget in place. So cut all the crap, get a budget in place, and then move forward. And I think that's smart on the part of the trustees. And Tiffany Henyard, she is just pushing back because she's not getting her way. She's not getting her way, and she's upset. She is PO'd.
But still raising questions.
This ordinance is not going to be necessary.
Trustees voting not to approve thousands of dollars in expenditures for Taste of Thornton and other Henyard events, money that's already been spent.
A lot of that spending was done on credit cards. We just don't agree with so much being put on credit cards. And then also recently it looks like even stuff that we voted not to pay then was put onto credit cards. So it's just kind of almost like a shell game, unfortunately.
But they don't have unanimous support from residents.
If there isn't a budget passed, then maybe they should do the same for their salary. Suspend the salary until they pass a budget.
That budget could be coming soon. Trustees say it's under review by an accountant now. They also voted once again to put Henyard's name on a credit card despite her protest, they say, for accountability. In South Holland, Jenna Barnes, WGN News.
Moments in the
segment.
south suburbs during last night's Dolton Township board meeting.
And this comes after last week's meeting was canceled because there weren't enough trustees present.
You got to tell me what the issues are. You have to. What's the issues? Why to know? Because we did what y'all said y'all want us to do, which is put a budget together and present it to the board before any events came across the board. We did that. So what is the problem now? And we got the money. So what's the
During the open forum, the board faced criticism from residents.
If you're about transparency, what are you hiding with that? If you have a department and some money's being spent for that department, who's heading it? Transparency for one item and not for another is not transparency. That's just the word that float around and it doesn't mean anything.
So this budget in Township of Thornton, this has been a while. This has been a while that it's been under review with the accountant. Now, I got a feeling that they're having attorneys review this as well, because everything moving forward is probably going to be under some pretty extreme scrutiny, because moving forward, and it's not necessarily Township of Thornton they're not the ones, I think, under the microscope. Village of Dalton is. Village of Dalton's budget is 3.65 million upside down that we know of so far. They're millions and millions and millions of dollars behind because Tiffany Henyard has spent the money and then they don't have the revenue coming in like they used to. That apparently is what it looks like. And they're either going to have to, bump up taxes, or they're going to have to cut spending, and they're going to have to take away a whole bunch of projects that Mayor Tiffany Henyard put in place. So there was more drama in Chicago's south suburbs Tuesday night as self-proclaimed super mayor Tiffany Henyard clashed with colleagues over spending. I think putting a halt on spending until they get this budget in place, that seems reasonable. I have no issues with, and maybe there's some politicking going on, some politricking, as Mayor Tiffany Henyard would call it. Maybe there's some of that going on, but when you've got as many big $1 million issues hanging out there, when you've got FBI probes hanging out there, not necessarily on the Township of Thornton, but on the Village of Dalton, but on the mayor herself, on the Supervisor of Trustees, she's one and the same. At a meeting Tuesday night, the Dolton Township Board of Trustees stared straight ahead, just like the attorney we saw, as Henyard, the township supervisor, passionately spoke out on spending. She's trying to get some of this stuff, put through, because these are things that she wants to have paid. And the township is saying, hey, we need a budget in place before we spend any more money. And to me, that doesn't seem unreasonable. Now, I think some of the folks you saw that were talking in favor of the mayor and why aren't you spending this money? Those are just Henyard supporters that, believe that she walks on water and she can't do any wrong. Well, when you've got an FBI probe coming at you and you've got all kinds of lawsuits that are being handled, dozens and dozens of lawsuits being handled. There's stuff going on behind the scenes here that we're not privy to yet, way outside of the context of Lori Lightfoot's report, which was, hey, you got $6.1 million and 589 different checks that haven't been sent to those various individuals. Haven't heard anything on that lately. So I think you've got a ton of background stuff going on right now, and the budget being one of them. You got a team of accountants probably looking over that. And then you've got some attorneys that want to take a peek, see, because there's going to be scrutiny on all this stuff. When you have an FBI probe, there's just going to be scrutiny. You guys just want to halt things here at Dolton Township because I don't see y'all doing nothing, Henyard told the trustees. But yet, y'all have started saying no to everything that myself and our team is coming up with, and I see no ideas coming from any of you. They're not looking to give up ideas. They are looking to get a budget together and a budget to spend this money from. It's like Tiffany Henyard was never taught anything about finances. I mean, that's what it appears like. You can't just spend money willy-nilly and expect it not to end up in some kind of shenanigans. And that's literally what you've got going on in the village of Dalton is some extreme shenanigans. That's why a real estate guy doing podcasting is covering a village in South Chicago, in Illinois. All right. Henyard is currently under investigation over her handling of village finances in her role as the mayor of Dalton. Henyard is, so I love it when they go to, tiff saying stuff and then, all right, investigation here. Henyard is currently under investigation for handling of village finances. Former Chicago Mayor Larry Lightfoot is leading the investigation and found last month that Dolton Village General Fund had a negative balance of $3.65 million. Township of Thornton does not. Township of Thornton is in good financial shape. And that's interesting because she has way more control over the village of Dalton, right? Meanwhile, here you go. Meanwhile, the FBI is conducting an investigation at Dolton Village Hall. Although they haven't elaborated on who is being investigated, Henyard will have to cooperate if and when the FBI asks questions about village finances. Oh, they've already asked. They have asked. They have subpoenaed, everybody involved in that whole system. So the pushback from the trustees in the Township of Thornton, that continues. And it makes sense because they don't have a budget in place yet. So table all that stuff. Tiffany Henyard just wants to, hey, we've been doing this before. The prior trustee, supervisor of trustees, he did all this stuff. We did all this stuff. We had all these events. Why you hold me up now? Because it's a power struggle. It's a power struggle and she is losing, and you can see the frustration in her face when she's looking around. And she always looks at the media as well. She always looks at those cameras because she knows they're just barreling down on her. So how will this end up? Well, they'll get a budget and they'll argue a bunch on that. They'll spend a bunch of money. And at some point in time, we'll hear from the FBI. In the meantime, make sure you're subscribed, hit that notification bell, all that good stuff, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks again for being here. We'll catch up soon. Bye for now.